Citi Field in New York, the New York Mets play the Pittsburgh Pirates. Mets baseball is presented in HD by IOTV. Get your HD free with IOTV. And a pleasant good evening, everybody, and welcome to Citi Field. Gary Cohen, Ron Darling, and the sartorially splendid Keith Hernandez with you tonight as the Mets open a four-game series against the Pittsburgh Pirates. The start of tonight's game will be delayed by rain, but we should be able to get the game in. The rain looks like it's going to stop sometime soon. Tonight, the Mets and Pirates start a four-game series, two teams that are not destined for the postseason in 2010. The Mets just got finished playing the Phillies. Trying to play spoiler in that regard, but here, nothing on the line. And if you're an everyday player coming down the stretch of a long year, how do you approach these games and get yourself psyched up?
Well, it's also, on top of that, it's a disappointing year. You had high hopes in April, and it just didn't work out that way, the second half falling apart. But, you know, you got to rely on your pride in performance and trying to have the best year you could possibly have. So you've got to take these at-bats seriously. Now, there's a letdown from playing the Phillies, and they lost 2 out of 3. Even if they had won 2 out of 3 or swept, there'd still be a letdown playing the Pirates. On the other side of the coin, for the youngsters, the Tejadas, the Felicianos, and Dylan G tonight, this is a chance for them to play, and it's very important to them, and they're very much up for this and to show the manager and the general manager their goods.
Well, Keith mentioned Dylan G, and for him, there's nothing in terms of this game that could be any bigger for him. His second major league start and his first here at home at Citi Field.
Well, I think it's huge for him because he might not get many more starts because of the innings issues. So I'm only going to see him one or twice or 3 times maybe. His last start was outstanding. He just gave up a run on the home run in 7 innings, only gave up 2 hits. So he's going to try to impress 2 times in a row. And he's going to have to really get it going because he's going to go against James McDonald, who came over here, could not find a spot in the Dodgers rotation, was traded over and has become a real mainstay of this Pirates rotation as he tries to win his 4th game.
And last time out through 7 shutout innings against the Braves, a huge performance by McDonald. So the Mets and the Pirates get set to open a 4-game series here at rainy Citi Field. Should be ready to play baseball sometime soon. All the action coming your way tonight on SNY. By Geico. By AT NYN, rethink possible. By Frostbrewed Coors Light, the world's most refreshing beer. By Hospital for Special Surgery. And by Lexus. Live out your Mets fantasy. Suit up with Mets legends and take to the field at the Mets Fantasy Camp this January in Port St. Lucie. Get to the phone at 718-565-4376 or visit Mets.com/fantasycamp today. There's your Suzuki around the majors. Albert Pujols hit a couple of home runs. Cardinals beat the Braves 7-3. 6 games, though, behind the Reds in the National League Central. The Giants moved into a virtual tie for first place in the West. Tim Lincecum has bounced back. He even had a 2-run single in that game as the Giants beat the Padres 6-1. Jason Giambi homered in the 9th inning. The Rockies keep rolling. 10 straight wins. They beat Arizona 4-2. They're now just a game and a half behind San Diego. And this afternoon, Oakland, the only day game, defeated Kansas City 3-1. Here's your Mets upcoming schedule. Remember, all Mets games on SNY are available in HD, presented by IOTV. If you're not near a TV, listen to every Mets game on Sports Radio 66 WFAN. This is the first of a 4-game series between the Mets and the Pirates. Then the Braves come in for the weekend. Atlanta just 1 game behind Philadelphia going into play tonight. Then the Mets embark on their final road trip of the season, 2 games in Florida and 3 in Philadelphia before they come home for the final week of the season. Rain delay here at Citi Field. Rain delay brought to you by Select Sector Spiders. Keith and Ron and I will hang out here, wait for the game to start. After this break, Mets Yearbook 1975. Enjoy it, everybody. Darling with you as the Mets and Pirates get set to open a 4-game series. The tarp off the field, and we should be ready for baseball in about 4 or 5 minutes. Dylan G getting ready for his first Citi Field assignment. And Ronnie, what do you think must be going through the stomach of Mr. G going through this rain delay, getting ready for this start?
Well, I will tell you, one of the things that you try to do as a young pitcher is just really try to be calm in the locker room, just relax, maybe look at some tapes. But I think even more importantly, when you get your first start on the road and you get under your belt, you got to win. The first one at home is always special. So I'm sure he's going to be experiencing some nerves early in this game.
Check out the Pirates starting lineup, brought to you by Ford, that Dylan G will be facing. Andrew McCutchen, who had the game-winning hit in Cincinnati yesterday off Francisco Cordero, leads things off. Jose Tabata, the former Yankee prospect. Neil Walker riding an 18-game hitting streak, longest for a Pirate rookie since 1971. Garrett Jones, who has slumped the second half. Pedro Alvarez, who grew up in New York. John Bowker, whom the Pirates recently acquired from the Giants. Ronnie Cedeno, Chris Snyder, and James McDonald on the mound for the Pirates. McDonald making his 8th start for Pittsburgh since being acquired from L.A.
And I think one of the biggest steals this summer for a team, because Dodgers needed some relief help. They got Octavio Dotel, the right-handed relief specialist, and McDonald was sent. Could not find a spot in the rotation for the Los Angeles Dodgers and has shined in the rotation for the Pittsburgh Pirates.
He's been sharp. Here's your Mets starting lineup, brought to you by Geico. David Wright hot at home. Ike Davis was cooled off yesterday, like most of the Mets, but he's had a great month of September. Carlos Beltran playing for the 2nd straight day after sitting out a game with tendonitis in his knee. Lucas Duda back in the lineup, trying to better his 1-for-29 big league start. And Luis Hernandez starting again at second base. Very interesting explanation today from Jerry Manuel as to why Ruben Tejada has been sitting on the bench now 4 straight days. He said he's trying to protect Tejada from the right-handers. He'll play him tomorrow against the left-hander because he wants to get Ruben's batting average up over 200.
What if he doesn't hit the left-handers? That presents a problem, I think.
Hey,
so.
Get him out there. Let's go. Let's see him play.
Well, that leads to our Toyota text poll for tonight. Do you think Ruben Tejada should be playing on a regular basis? A for yes, B for no. Text to 57508 or visit sny.tv to express your opinion.
Well, I think we've definitely expressed our opinion the last couple of days. It'll be interesting to see that later. That's John Russell, manager for the Pittsburgh Pirates.
Pirates on their way to a 100-loss season unless they have a spectacular finish, 48-94 in what will be their 18th straight losing season. Dylan G making his way in from the bullpen, getting ready for his 2nd big league start and his Citi Field debut. We'll have all the action. Come on back. First pitch is coming right up.
Selection of official gear, including the latest apparel, nostalgic memorabilia, and authentic classics for the whole family. Get your gear from the official source, the Mets.com shop. Accept no substitutes. Texas native Dylan G. looking a little antsy as he gets ready to take the field.
University of Texas at Arlington is where Dylan matriculated. And you can see those great numbers for the first start. Only nicked by the Willie Harris solo home run in that game. He gave up a couple of hits. Looked very sharp. His numbers in AAA were outstanding this season.
And we'll take a look at the Mets defense. That's brought to you by Lexus. You see Lucas Duda out in left field again. No errors committed by Luis Hernandez, and we've mentioned at the top. We're wondering why Ruben Tejada hasn't been playing, and I just kind of wonder maybe if someone in the front office wants to look at Hernandez and wants him in the lineup.
This guy's named Hernandez on the right side of the infield. They do pretty good with the glove, don't they?
Well, he's certainly wearing the number of a great fielder, wearing Buddy Harrelson's number 3. So I've turned a spectacular double play yesterday in a big spot. Andrew McCutchen will lead things off for the Pirates. Pittsburgh coming here from Cincinnati, where they gave the Reds a pretty good run over the weekend. They lost 2 out of 3. But the Pirates have played better against the contenders lately than they have against the teams that are out of the race. In fact, over the last 3 weeks, Pittsburgh's 5-4 against teams that are competing for division titles and 2-7 against their lesser opponents.
And they've been scoring a lot of their runs late, which tells you that they've been staying in the game.
We talked about it at the top, too. When these are the games you look forward to when you're playing out the season in September. You're going to get up for the teams that you can have an effect on who wins the division or goes to the wild card.
John Russell was a catcher for the Philadelphia Phillies when we were all wearing a Mets uniform. He had been their first-round pick in the day.
And certainly his status as Pirates manager very much up in the air heading into the offseason. Here's your umpiring crew for tonight. Mike Everett, the acting crew chief on this unit. Adrian Johnson, Andy Fletcher, and Todd Titchener round out your umpiring crew. And after a rain delay of approaching 45 minutes, we're about set for action. Had some rather nasty weather come through. Delayed not only our game here, but the game in the Meadowlands as well. You don't see that often with football games. Delayed by lightning. McCutchen hitting a .275, 13 homers, 47 driven in. Dylan G's first pitch of the night is in for a call strike. Rain delay was 43 minutes at the start. McCutchen was down to his final strike yesterday with 2 out in the 9th inning when he hit a 3-run bases clearing double off Francisco Cordero that really put a knife in the Cincinnati Reds' hearts. And got the Pirates a victory yesterday. Just their 15th road victory in 70 road games this year. I mean, you thought the Mets were having road trouble. 15 and 55.
Here's bet check.
Bet check. They check. The bets are still there.
You might want to keep them out all night. You might have a better chance. Curveball from G misses, and it's 2-2. Dylan G didn't feel as though his curveball was very good in his first start in D.C. Thought his changeup was a lot better.
Changeup a lot better, and he went a little slider, too, where he struck out the side in that game on 3 sliders.
And the curveball pulled down to third, and David Wright right into the action. Sidearm toss gets McCutchen for the first out of the night.
Well, these are your real Met fans that are here tonight.
The faithful, right?
Yes, sir.
The diehards.
They should let those guys in the upper tank down for box sequence. Let them on down.
I like it.
I'm in favor. Here's Jose Tabata, and the rookie left fielder having himself a fine season. He's played about half the year for Pittsburgh, and he's hitting at .309, and even better lately, .351 over his last 20 games. And he takes the fastball in tight. Tabata acquired from the Yankees.
In the trade that the Yankees got Xavier Nady and Damaso Marte.
G working quickly, and Tabata hits it out to right center. And Beltran moving back. and runs it down for the second out. So Tampa retired, 2 away.
Del Monte corn for Mr. Beltran.
That's in the can, right?
Could be asparagus, too.
Well, here's Neil Walker, who's riding an 18-game hitting streak. The last time a Pirate rookie had a hitting streak that long, Rennie Stennett in 1971. The only time the Pirates have had a rookie with a longer hitting streak than 18 games? Jimmy Williams. No, not that Jimmy Williams. Jimmy Williams in 1899 had a 27-game hitting streak.
Sure it's not that Jimmy Williams?
No, well, he's not that old. This guy has 2 M's in his Jimmy. 1-1 to Walker, the Pittsburgh native and a switch hitter. It's a guy who'd been buried in the Pirates farm system for a while and really had fallen out of favor. That his position changed a few times. Catcher to third base and finally has settled in at second.
It's got to be a joy, though, huh? To get a kid from Pittsburgh and now wearing the Bucs uniform.
You look around this Pirate team, and at least from a position player standpoint, you see some really good young players who could be the basis for a Pittsburgh comeback. Not this year, but somewhere down the road.
Well, they better be. I mean, haven't had a winning season since 1992. That means a lot of high draft picks. It's about time that some of these kids come and help the team.
And they squandered a lot of picks over the years, particularly with pitchers. They've been very unlucky. And that's why did he stop the swing? He did. And so Walker's aboard with a 2-out walk.
Two-seamer from G running away. And yeah, he stopped his bat in time.
Since Millers has been spending most of his time on the bench over the last month or so. Here's Garrett Jones. Jones got off to a really good start this year, but over the last 68 games, he's hitting .198. So things have gone south for Jones, who broke in with a splash last year with the Pirates after a long tenure in the minor leagues in the Twins organization.
See how many right-handers they have in the bullpen, this Pirate bullpen? They have 10 right-handers.
Could play all night.
Easy.
Change-up misses, and it's 2-0.
10 right-handers.
How many left-handers do they have?
3. They have 13.
That's 13 pitchers in the bullpen.
Yes.
That could get you through 30 innings. Pedro Alvarez, the local product, on deck. G has missed with 6 in a row. And Jones takes a strike, and it's 2-1. G's first start in Washington, he did not allow a hit for the first 5 innings and allowed just 2 hits over 7. As Jones pulls one into right field, and this time he gives up a first inning hit. Walker goes first to third, and Garrett Jones has the Pirates' first hit. And they have runners to the corners with 2 out.
Fastball down the middle, or it might have been a change. There's a fastball.
And now some applause for Pedro Alvarez. He's got a rooting section here. Pedro, who was born in the Dominican, grew up in Washington Heights, went to Horace Mann High School in the Bronx before going on to Vanderbilt. And there is the Pedro Alvarez rooting section.
That's great.
Easy to pick out in a small crowd.
Upper body hitter, pull hitter. Strong man, very strong.
Good news on Alvarez after 274 major league at bats, 11 homers and 42 RBIs. Bad news after 274 major league at bats, 100 strikeouts.
Wow. Boy. Probably a lot of bad behavior.
And G paints with a changeup, and it's 1-1. Pedro Alvarez, the number 2 overall pick in the draft a couple of years ago, coming out of Vanderbilt. Boy, they produced some big league talent recently.
David Price pitching for the Tampa Bay Rays tonight against the Yankees. Vanderbilt. Brad?
He was also the second pick in the draft.
Yeah.
Or was he the first?
I think he was the first.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, that's not a school that's been known for its baseball program over the years, and all of a sudden producing big-time talent. John Bowker, the former Giant, is on deck. G is ahead on Alvarez, 1-2. And this is one foul.
Interesting. The book so far, Keith, looks like to pound him in.
Yep.
If the guy strikes out a lot, to me, as a young player, it means that he's chasing balls out of the strike zone. So when you get on top, you can bounce a curveball, bounce a changeup, then get a strikeout.
And G throws a curveball and he fouls it off.
Pretty good curve right there. Had some velocity on it and some bite. In Washington, G was throwing kind of that off-speed breaking ball a lot.
Now, Dylan G will tell you that one of the reasons why he had a step-forward season this year was the development of that curveball. Wound up leading the International League in strikeouts. And he strikes out Alvarez with the changeup. So G gives up a couple of base runners in the first inning, caps it with a K. No score. Facing the Mets as a starter for the second time this year.
Well, he only had one start when he was in Los Angeles, traded over. Now this will be his eighth start for the Pirates and 3 wins.
Jose Reyes to lead things off. And he takes a fastball high. Reyes 3 for 13 since coming back from the oblique injury. And 286 for the year. And a fastball strike. Reyes has been swinging at a lot more pitches this year than in the past. He's never been a particularly selective guy, but his strikeout rate and his walk rate are way down this year. And he pulls one into right field for a leadoff hit. So the Mets get the leadoff man on with Reyes and Pagan coming up.
Take a look at the Parate defense by Coors Light. You can see it's not a very good effort there, and they're not a great fielding ball club. They got a lot of, it's like trying to pound circles into squares out there. A lot of guys that don't have a position struggle a bit with the glove. Spells second division, 100 losses.
Here's Pagan in a 3-for-24 skid right now at 289 for the year. See if Reyes tries to get a quick start at first base, and McDonald will try and slow him down.
The Mets roughed up McDonald in Pittsburgh in the last that road trip. Came with much ballyhooed coming into that game. The Mets just roughed him up big time.
David hit a 3-run home run off of McDonald.
And a very impressive one into the bullpen in left center field in Pittsburgh.
When I watch McDonald, he reminds me a lot of Pedro's brother, Ramon Martinez. Straight over the top, good fastball and changeup.
Well, Ramon Martinez had that great changeup.
He's got to start throwing strikes.
And he misses badly with a curveball, and it's 2-0.
A lot of moving parts here when you have a tall, thin pitcher like McDonald. Doesn't really push off too much. Mostly a upper body kind of pitcher. Although that was a breaking pitch or a change up there, so he didn't want to push off as much.
25 years old. Started his career as an outfielder in the Dodgers organization before they moved him to the mound. And Angel swings at a 2-0 fastball and fouls it off. Carlos Beltran on deck, and then David Wright here in the opening inning. Well, the Braves roughed up Yuneski Maya in the second inning of that game in Atlanta, so they're up 4-0 on the Nats. The Phillies roughing up Andrew Miller. Jason Worth hit a home run in that game. Braves starting the night a game behind the Phillies in the NL East. And you see the standings. The big series tonight is in Colorado, where the Padres, after losing 3 of 4 to the Giants and just clinging to first place in the West, will be facing the Red Hot Rockies. And they've won 10 in a row.
All the schedule.
Reyes picked off. Jones makes the toss. Cedeno the tag. 1-3-6 on the caught stealing as Reyes just started a little too early.
Well, let's just say this. If he had thrown home, it'd been a heck of a jump.
So for the second straight day, the Mets have a runner caught stealing in the first inning. Yesterday was Angel Pagan trying to get to second, and the Mets wound up never getting to second base all day against Roy Oswalt. Now Pagan pops one up. Cedeno, the shortstop, waiting for it. 2 out. You were about to say, Keith, about the playoff picture?
Oh, of all the schedules, the team that has the toughest schedule is San Diego. They got some tough games coming up. They got to play Cincinnati. They wind up with they got to play in division, but they've got Cincinnati and St. Louis, 4 in St. Louis, and then they got just a murderous schedule.
Well, they're playing Colorado, who's won 10 straight.
Beltran lines out on the first pitch, and the Mets are done in the bottom of the first. No score after 1. Information team at the Health and Wellness Center at City Field, brought to you by North Shore LIJ and the Katz Institute for Women's Health. North Shore LIJ, hope lives here. Dylan G goes to the mound for the second inning. And Keith, I didn't realize that you had quite the power that you apparently have. You made the suggestion in the first inning that they invite the fans to move from the upper deck down to the lower seating area. And voila. There you have it. John Backer fouls off the first pitch. The scoreboard and the public address invited fans to do exactly that between innings, and all the folks from the promenade are now moving down.
Wonderful. I think it's a good move.
So let it be written. So let it be done.
Well, don't cross me.
Here's what we have to figure out now. What else do we need done around here that we can get Keith to advocate? 1-2 to Bowker, who was acquired at the trading deadline from the Giants for the pitcher Javier Lopez. Some people, though,
they want to sit like you, Gary.
I would definitely have stayed upstairs.
Contrarian.
Better view up there. You can see the game better from up top. As long as you have the right angle. And no line at the concession stands now up there.
That's right.
3-2 now to Bowker.
You can almost do anything you want up there.
Well, within reason. You wouldn't want to get outrageous. G with the 3-2, and Bowker slaps one to third. David Wright playing off the line, perfectly positioned. One away. The inside pitch on Dylan G, brought to you by the Xerox Business of Baseball. Xerox, ready for real business.
Well, really impressed in his first start with his fastball command. Jerry Manuel said that he will throw any pitch at any time. We've already seen a 2-1 changeup from Dylan G. That's something you usually don't see from a young pitcher. And 13-165, 13 wins in AAA, and 165 strikeouts, which led the International League.
There's Ronnie Cedeno taking the fastball high. Cedeno hitting at 243. Former Chicago Cub. G again falls behind, 2-0.
A little out of whack tonight. G in his first start in Washington, everything was much easier. It looks like he's overthrown just a bit early.
Rushing his delivery a little bit. Cedeno lines to left, and it stays right there for Duda to snag. And that's the second out. So 2 out and nobody on, and now the catcher, Chris Snyder. Pirates have made a lot of acquisitions late in the year, not necessarily for prospects, but for established big league players. We mentioned Bowker, and Snyder's another one who came over from Arizona in a trade.
Well, I think what they were trying to catch with Snyder was a person behind the plate that could really take some leadership role with this young pitching staff of Zach Duke, Paul Maholm, McDonald tonight. That's going to be something they're going to have to get in order. You mentioned that they have some nice position players that hope moving forward, but their pitching staff's going to have to pitch better.
Wright can't make the diving stop, and Snyder's got a 2-out hit. Well, the Pirates were clearly defensively challenged behind the plate. Ryan Domit was their #1 catcher, and Domit is a good hitter, but he's not a guy who's going to throw anybody out or work well with the pitching staff. Nice effort by David. Got that tongue going and everything.
Well, what he always does has that tongue. It's like he's going to bite it off one of these days.
Like Belfry. Well, it worked for Michael Jordan. Not in baseball necessarily.
You know what he did do, though, there, which is interesting, he crossed over. You see a lot of infielders, they take that left leg and move it first. He crossed over with his right, gave him the best chance to get to that baseball.
James McDonald looking for his first major league hit. 0 for 14 this year, 0 for 23 in his career. And this is a guy who started out as a position player.
Well, on a night when some fans are interested in the NFL, James McDonald's father, James, played as a tight end for the Los Angeles Rams in the day.
Maybe that's why they moved him for a pitcher here.
I guess so. McDonald's cousin is Darnell McDonald, who's patrolling the outfield for the Red Sox these days. Well, they've got some good athletic lines in that family.
He went to Long Beach Polytech High School in Long Beach, California. Chase Utley went there. Tony Gwynn.
0-2 from G, and the slider misses low and in. 1-2. He led the International League in strikeouts this year. He asked him why. He said, I don't know. I'm not a strikeout pitcher. Right with the charging play, throws on McDonald to end the inning. A hit and one left. Middle of the second. That's in Pirates, no score. Continues tomorrow night at 7:10 p.m. Get your tickets starting at $11 direct from the Mets at Mets.com. Here's your AT&T trivia question for tonight. Which Jets player had the most career touchdowns at Shea Stadium? Well, I can certainly guess.
Yeah, of course, right?
Jets played at Shea Stadium through the 1983 season. Giant Stadium in 1984.
Would it have to be a running back?
Well, I have a pretty
wide
good
receiver,
idea
I think.
Mr. Maynard?
No, I was going to say Emerson Boozer.
Oh, that's
Boozer?
right. That's right.
That would be my guess.
Every time
he
we're
was
close.
with the Jets for a long time. David Wright leads off in the home second inning. And he lines one into center field. That's going to fall for a base hit. So David, who had been just 2 for his last 19 and struck out all 3 at-bats yesterday, gets his night started with a first pitch base hit.
There's the ball away again and off the end of the bat. Not a whole lot of tapping when they're on front foot with David at that at-bat, if you noticed. Just kind of stayed planted. Experimenting.
David's 150th hit of the season. So the Mets have a leadoff hit for the second straight inning against McDonald's. And here's Ike Davis. Davis took an 0 for yesterday after a red-hot start to the month of September.
A lot of guys took an 0 for yesterday.
0 for Oswald.
And your IOTV pitch differential. No, they even got it away more than where the catcher was set up.
That should tell you something as a pitcher, though. First pitch strike, you're throwing right on the corner outside and he gives up a base hit. Next time you better pitch him in.
Ike still hitting .432 in the month of September. 10 RBIs in his last 8 games. Lifts this one toward left field. Tabata was playing toward left center, has to retreat and run it down. And right back to first base.
Well, Davis continuing to go the opposite field, and that has been the reason why he's been so successful this month.
So 1 out and 1 on. Now Josh Tolley. Josh saw his average drop below 300 as he took an 0 for yesterday. Being repetitive.
Roosevelt yesterday was just. You don't usually see a pitcher cruise control to a shutout, but it was as close as I've ever seen.
And the changeup from McDonald misses for ball 1. Well, the Reds, after finishing their series with the Pirates in disappointing fashion yesterday, have stayed home to play Arizona. They've hit 4 home runs in the first 3 innings tonight. Jay Bruce already has 2. Joey Votto has homered, and so has Drew Stubbs. Hasn't Bruce already had a 3-homer game this
season? Yes, he did. He has. He's been hot. And does Votto hit a home run every night?
He's been stunning. Wow. Hit that walk-off home run the other night. Stop for a little admiration.
God, it's a tough MVP call here. I mean, if Colorado slips in, you've got Carlos Gonzalez. I mean, it's a tough pick. You got Votto.
And, of course, Pujols. It's hard to ignore the numbers that he continues to put up. 2 more home runs yesterday.
Pujols coming into this game about 309, 37 home runs, 102 RBIs. Gonzalez 337, 32 home runs, and 100 RBIs. And now Votto with 34 home runs.
2-1 to Tolley. I'd love to see them play hit and run with Tolley on a count like that. I mean, as it turned out, pitch was in the dirt. It would have been tough for him. But this is a kid who can put the ball in play. And the Mets have not been.
It's a part of the game that's vanished.
In this ballpark, you would think that it would reappear.
Yep, and you can see the defense. They're shading to the opposite field, and correctly so. But look at the right fielder playing him like almost a pull hitter, straight up. So it leaves a big gap in right center field.
And Tolley takes ball 4, and the Mets have 2 men on.
Well, in BP, Gary, I don't know if they still do it today. You would bunt 2 in your first round, and then your first pitch would be hit and run. And then you go to hitting. Because the guys that are in your group hitting, there's always a guy on first base. And after you lay down a couple of bunts, he takes off, and you play the hit and run. Then don't you play to get him over, and then you play to get him in.
That's right. So it's over and in. It was called hit and run on the first swing after 2 bunts, first round. And then the next swing was runner on second, get him over, find something to pull. So you worked both sides of the field.
Here's Lucas Duda trying to get his bat ignited. He went 0 for his first 10 in the major leagues. Then he got a double in Chicago, and now he's gone 0 for 18 since. Grand total, 1 hit in 29 major league at bats. And patient there, takes the fastball off the plate, 2-0.
See, you always want to never grip the bat too hard, and when you're pressing, you can get that turn that handle into sawdust. I like the fact that he was wiggling his fingers. That's always a good way to stay loose with your hands on the bat.
2 out of the inning now. And Luis Hernandez will step in. Hernandez, after a fast start, has gone 0 for his last 9. It was 8 days ago that the Mets played that game at Wrigley Field that they won 18-5. In 6 games since then, they've scored exactly 18 runs. 2 on and 2 out for Hernandez. And the curveball drops in for a strike.
Well, that's the good curveball right there. Then McDonald comes with high praise, but he's just too inconsistent with it, Ronnie. If you can throw it like this with consistency, you're going to win some ball games.
Absolutely. He's already led off a couple of hitters with changeups. Now leads off Hernandez with a curveball.
And McDonald has had some wonderful starts since coming over from the Dodgers. His first start, he threw 6 scoreless innings. His last start against the Braves, 7 scoreless innings.
Well, that's a hanger right there. That's right down the middle and up. That's a pitch to rip.
0-2 to Hernandez. And he strikes him out with a curveball in the dirt. Snyder completes the play. And the inning is over. First strikeout for McDonald. No score after 2. Blog, your one-stop shop for all the latest Mets news and rumors with constantly updated insider info, insights, and links. Mets Blog, presented by Verizon, featured on SNY.TV, your online home of all things New York sports. Second time around the batting order for the Pirates against Dylan G. Andrew McCutchen grounded out to third base leading off the game. It'll be McCutchen, then Tabata and Walker against G, who's now thrown 9 big league innings and allowed 1 run and 4 hits. When he gave up only 2 hits over 7 innings in his first major league start, Dylan G became only the second Met pitcher in history to pitch that many innings, allowing that few hits in his major league debut. The only other guy to do that was Jason Isringhausen. In 1995, he also had a 7-inning, 2-hit performance in his debut. He went 9-2 when he was called up. Second half of 95, and there was every reason to believe that he and Bill Pulsipher and Paul Wilson were going to be exactly what the Mets built them to be, Generation K. But Pulsipher got hurt, Wilson got hurt. Izzy never really panned out as a starter. Beltran back to the edge of the warning track to run it down. Mets traded Izzy to get Billy Taylor for the stretch drive in 1999, and Billy was not equipped to pitch in New York.
I'll tell you about Billy Taylor. I played with him in Oakland, and we were doing one of those pitching fundamental PFPs, Keith, and the runner was on second base, and it was Ricky Henderson. So the ball back at you, you're always taught to run towards the runner. And what I told Billy, I said, well, almost every runner, you will run right at him. But when you have a guy like Ricky Henderson who can fly and can dart back and forth, you just want to get the ball to the athletes and let them do it. He said, no, that's not the way to do it. Ricky had his big lead. Billy turned around as he got off the base, ran right at Ricky. Ricky gave him a couple of jukes, blew out his knee. Out for the season.
You're kidding.
I'm not kidding. Out for the season.
Oh, I'll teach him.
It's a tough price to pay, isn't it?
Right.
1-1 to Jose Tabata, who flied out to center his first time up. And G throws the slider low and away. 2-1.
Well, you think about those pitchers. You know, you had such a great core of pitchers in the 60s, and then you had a nice core of pitchers in the 80s, and you expected them to be like those previous groups.
But I think what happened with that group, and is Tabata has to spin on an inside fastball, is that there was no anchor. There was nobody to nurture that group. It was all kind of the eggs were all kind of put in the basket of those young pitchers. And I think it's possible that in some cases they were pushed a little too hard. Big cut by Tabata, 3-2.
Pushed before they were ready.
I mean, there was a game Paul Wilson pitched at Wrigley Field where he pitched just a gem of a game, and Dallas Green left him in to pitch the ninth, and Sammy Sosa hit the game-winning home run off him with 2 out of the ninth. As Tabata's down swinging, and G has his second strikeout. And, you know, we talk all the time about pushing young pitchers, but there's a fine line there, and I think in some cases they might have been pushed a little too much.
Well, Keith, that's the one difference I see in today's game with the young players is there's no take-back with 2 strikes. It's always the same big swing, and it cost Tabata the strikeout there.
Well, there always were players, you know, going back that didn't shorten up, but there were more players that did shorten up. A heck of a lot more players, particularly in a sacrifice fly situation.
There's Neil Walker, and he takes a strike.
Everybody got home run happy in those 90s and early 2000s. A lot of big uppercut hitters now, and that's why I think pitching is taking over.
Well, it's been a great year for pitching, particularly in the National League. You could list a legitimate dozen pitchers who deserve consideration for the Cy Young this year. Walker drew a walk his first time up, working on an 18-game hitting streak. And the curveball from G bounces 1-2.
You see Justin Verlander yesterday went to 16-8. You and I were talking about how underrated he is. He stays under the radar every season. 16 to 18 wins.
And unbeatable at home. Pitch him in Big Comerica Park. He never loses. 1-2 off the fists out into right center. And over goes Pagan to grab it to end the inning. 1-2-3 for Dylan G, his first of the night. No score. Going to be able to finish the year in the rotation. I think that's still a topic of conversation within the organization. But G making his second start tonight. Had a base hit and drove in a run in his first start after going 0 for 20 in the minors this year. And he takes the curveball for a strike.
And he talked about, you hate to judge or evaluate in spring training or September, but sometimes that's the only time you get to evaluate. Going into next season with Santana, you're not sure if he's going to be able to make the call at the beginning of the year. That guys like G are going to get a good look.
Well, you've got G and you've got Henry Mejia, both of whom are making September starts now for the Mets.
What's nice about G, though, he's the finished product. I mean, you have to know what you have here with him.
And Mejia has struggled in his first 2 starts. And his last start was, there wasn't progress. He got touched up.
We'll go back out Wednesday night against the Pirates. And G laces one to deep left center field. Tabata going back, and he won't get there. Extra base hit for Dylan G. So he goes 0 for 20 at Buffalo this year. And now he hits the tar out of one for his second hit in 4 big league at-bats.
Got a fastball.
Dylan G. Safe at second. Safe and secure. New York Life. That's a leadoff hit for the 3rd straight inning. And now Jose Reyes, who singled sharply to right and then was picked off. Caught stealing in the 1st inning. Pirates playing for the bunt. And Reyes looking to bunt. Interesting call here in the 3rd inning.
Well, what you have to do here, if you are the Pirates, McDonald's got to be very wary of getting to that ball, because you have the pitcher running at second base. You have a nice chance to make the play at 3rd. But Alvarez got to play in because he's got the speed of Reyes.
I just don't understand the concept of having Reyes sacrifice here.
I do not.
Reyes is out at first base.
I know comprende myself.
I mean, why? He's been swinging the bat well. Why are you giving up an out?
I don't understand.
5-4 on the sacrifice. Moving G over to 3rd. Now the infield will come in with Angel Pagan coming up.
With the high five for Jerry to Reyes, obviously a play that was put on. The only problem you have is you have the pitcher running, and at some point the sacrifice fly, if it's not deep enough, you can't send the pitcher.
Pagan popped to short his first time up. And Angel lines one to left, not that deep. G tags Tabata with the catch, and G will stay put. Not a good throw from Tabata, but G had no ideas about trying to score on that short line drive to left. Now there are 2 out.
Oh, flew out the shoulder, went after a bad one here, and one of Ronnie's pet peeves. This is not a good throw in, and the pitcher's not backing up. And that ball could have gone to the screen.
G, of course, not sure of what to do there. But probably Chip Hill was yelling at him, stay here, stay here.
So he's still at 3rd with 2 out. Now Carlos Beltran, who lined out to the first baseman on the first pitch he saw in the 1st inning. No score, we're in the 3rd. And Beltran takes a fastball for a strike. One and one. It's a great angle to get from down low. It really gives you a feeling like you're in the batter's box with the hitter. Curveball pulled foul. And so now McDonald ahead on Beltran, 1-2. Ronald's riding a 6-game hitting streak, hitting 9 for 22 over the 6 games. Certainly swinging the bat better left-handed than he has at any point since he came back after the All-Star break.
Finally got his home run from the left side of the plate.
1-2. And he struck him out. Foul tip held by Snyder. And so McDonald able to work around the leadoff double by G. No score after 3. Garrett Jones to lead off with Pedro Alvarez and John Bowker to follow. The Phillies have stretched their lead to 7-0. They're now in the 6th inning in Florida. The Braves up 4-0 in the 6th, so it looks like the status quo will prevail in the East tonight. Jones had a single to right his first time up. And a check swing grounder in just the right spot over the bag and along the line. And Jones will head for second and in standing with a double.
Well, you'll take that, won't you?
That's a big smile. Talk about your Cheshire Cat grin.
Well, talk about better being lucky than good. This is, look at that.
You know what? That's a hit even if you don't have the shift on. No chance to make that play. Watch David Wright on this play. He never touches the baseball, but he does a couple of laps here. All the way back to chase the ball, and then he had to sprint in back to third base because no one was covering.
So Jones with a leadoff double, and now Pedro Alvarez, who struck out his first time up. And Alvarez fouls off the first pitch. Not exactly looking to hit the ball to the right side.
No, he's not. He's taking a swing right out of his boots.
First game playing in his hometown for Mr. Alvarez, and you know he's trying to impress. He's got his cheering section on their feet. And a good off-speed pitch by G has him in an 0-2 hole. All those Alvarez fans in their gold pirate shirts holding up signs behind the third base dugout. There they are. Great story we told about Pedro Alvarez, about how everybody in his neighborhood urged his father to have him sign the contract he was offered out of high school. Kind of $750,000, an enormous amount of money. And his father was adamant that he was going to send him to college, send him to one of the best schools in the country at Vanderbilt. And he got even more money coming out of college.
That's great.
As the number 2 pick in the draft.
Way to go, Dad.
Got the education to boot. His dad is a livery cab driver, and obviously doesn't make a whole lot of money, and it was a difficult decision financially, but turned out to be the right one. 1-2 to Alvarez. And that just missed. 2-2.
Well, first at bat, struck him out with a changeup, but he made him look bad with those fastballs in. Let's see if he goes back inside with a fastball against Alvarez after that changeup down.
Upstairs with the fastball on a full count. John Bowker on deck.
Well, let's see if the young G will feature a 3-2 changeup.
He does just that, but he misses with it. And the Pirates have 2 men on. Second walk given up by G, who walked 3 in 7 innings in his first start. Only 41 walks in 161 minor league innings this year. So now he's got a jam to try and pitch himself out of with John Bowker coming up. Bowker grounded out to third base his first time up, with Wright playing way off the line. David can't get quite as far off the line this time with a runner at second base. Bowker played a lot for the Giants 2 years ago. Got off to a good start for them. Then disappeared from their plans. Little flare out to shallow right center. Beltran in. And that's the first out of the inning.
Well, he disappeared from their plans because of the emergence of Andres Torres. And have you seen what an awful blow to the San Francisco Giants, Torres, and you know this, Gary, with the emergency appendicitis. I missed about 2 weeks.
Well, the good news for the Giants is they have got an overload of outfielders right now. I mean, Nate Shearholtz has been cast aside, and he'll get more of an opportunity to play. Pat Burrell's been just a godsend for the Giants. And they can play Aubrey Huff in the outfield, so they've certainly got reinforcements there.
Pat Burrell was on the garbage heap there. Boy, I like Pat too. Pat the Bat's a good man. I'm glad to see him bounce back.
So now here's Ronnie Cedeno, who lined out to left his first time up. 2 aboard and 1 out. No score in the 4th. And he takes that fastball in, 1-0. Dylan G not afraid to work inside.
Did the same in Washington to both the left-handed and right-handed hitters.
One to Cedeno, the number 7 hitter, with Chris Snyder on deck. Jones the runner at second, and Alvarez at first with 1 out. Dylan G from Cleburne, Texas. And Cedeno takes a strike. 1-2. There's Snyder on deck. And the curveball hits slowly. Wright's only play is to first, in time to get Cedeno for the second out. As the runners advance to second and third. And we'll see what the Mets do here with Snyder, the number 8 hitter, up and first base open.
Well, nicely done with the 2 hands. That's perfect, you kids, right there. Makes the exchange very easy. I would recommend you keep the tongue in the mouth.
But yeah, that grip, though, is nice. He's got the 4-seam grip. Straightens out that baseball, despite the sidearm throw.
Tongue can be good for balance sometimes. And the Mets will walk the number 8 hitter, Snyder. So an intentional walk to Snyder, who had a base hit his first time up. This will be the 3rd walk for G. And the pitcher, McDonald, who is still 0 for his big league career at the plate, will come to bat with the bases loaded.
Well, Dylan G's despite his walks, usually has impeccable control, and I do like that move there. Chris Snyder is a guy who can really hurt you. He has some power. And McDonald, as we've said, is 0 for 24, I think, in his career.
Grounded out to third base his first time up. So G looking to work out of a bases loaded situation. And McDonald takes high for ball 1. Jones at third, Alvarez at second, and Snyder at first with 2 down. And McDonald pops it up in foul ground. Right has room, and the side retired. So Dylan G into and out of trouble in the 4th. Still no score. Jets player had the most career touchdowns at Shea Stadium. And it was
you called it.
You
can't mess with a Jet fan.
Loser had 36. Don Maynard was second with 30. Third guy is very difficult to get. He was a very good tight end for the Jets for a long time.
Oh, gosh. He was under the radar screen because of Maynard and...
No, this was later.
Later than that.
The Richard Todd era. Jerome Barkham, 24 touchdowns. Wesley Walker had 23. Of course, Walker did a lot of his best work at the Meadowlands.
Wesley Walker of University of California Golden Bears.
David Wright, first pitch swinging for the second straight at bat. And on comes the right fielder Bowker to make the sliding catch. Might have been easier for the second baseman Walker to play. But that's the first out.
Well, he called for it. That's a good thing. Once you hear from that outfielder, and you're an infielder, you clear out.
Mike Davis, the batter. Let's go down to Kevin, whose report is brought to you by Hornitos.
Guys, think about this. When this season began, I guess a couple weeks before the season began, Daniel Murphy was the Mets starting first baseman. We haven't heard from him since. Of course, he made one comeback attempt after spraining that knee last week of spring training, and then we played down in AAA Buffalo, learning second base, got plowed over, injured the knee again. Well, talked to him today, and he's doing great. He's taking ground balls, he's hitting, he's running down at Port St. Lucie. He's going to go to the Mets Instructional League, which will actually start on Sunday. The only thing he hasn't done is cut the bases, and he says, I think I can. I just haven't had the need to yet. So he fully plans on going to the Instructional League and then being able to play in games. Now the question becomes, what do the Mets do with him going forward? I mean, clearly he's not going to be playing first base anymore. And in the organization, there's kind of a split. I think some people feel second base could be a legit position for him next year, and some people feel he could be a utility guy. He could play a bunch of positions and be that good bat off the bench. Right now, Murphy doesn't have a winter ball spot. You would think that would be the ideal thing, though. Play him at second base in winter ball, see what he can do, and then come into competition. Guys, you know, he's been kind of the forgotten man this year. It'd be very interesting to see where he fits in next year. Right now, who knows? Maybe it's him and Ruben Tejada that are vying for that second base job. Let's go back to you.
Well, it's an interesting question to ask. I mean, for a team that's been offensively challenged for most of the year, Murphy's an interesting guy, but boy, it's hard to envision him as a second baseman.
I cannot see that. He got hurt. I mean, it was a terrible slide that hurt him. A slide that the guy went out of his way to get him. But I think of all the infield positions, second base is the most difficult with that turn of the double play. You need the nimblest of infielders to play second base.
Well, you know, we said the same thing when we first saw Jeff Kent. We wondered how he could ever be a major league second baseman. And he had what would probably turn out to be a Hall of Fame career.
And right here in the National League East, we've always questioned Dan Uggla's defense, and he's gotten better.
2-2 to Davis, and Ike fouls it off. So you never know. I mean, it's all going to depend on the skill level that Daniel can maintain, and it's also going to depend on his offense.
Yeah.
You know, when he first came up 2 years ago, he looked like he could be a legitimate star, and then obviously had a more difficult season last year.
Well, the thing about Kent, though, is you could wait for his defense to come around, because if you're hitting 30 and driving in 100, makes it a little easier.
Although it took Jeff a while to get
right.
to that point. I mean, he went from Toronto to the Mets to Cleveland to San Francisco before he finally found himself. 2-2 to Davis, and the curveball taken outside. Of course, it also helped out the guy named Bonds next to him.
Yeah, that's right. Even though he wouldn't admit it.
Richard really would admit it.
No love lost between Mr. Kent and Barry Bonds.
3-2 to Davis. And another ball hit to left field. He's really looking that way, isn't he? 2 fly ball outs to left tonight. 2 out of the inning.
Nope, both fly balls to left, and he just needs to get line drive, get on top.
Big game in Colorado tonight, and Miguel Tejada opens it with a 2-run homer off Jeff Francis in the top of the first inning, and the Padres go up on the Rockies 2-0. San Diego still in first place by percentage points in the West, with the Rockies looming just a game and a half behind. Here's Josh Toley, who walked his first time up. The only walk given up by McDonald, who's yielded 3 hits. Toley first pitch swinging.
You know, guys, just to add one more thought on that whole second base discussion. Obviously, you know, Castillo's under contract. Tejada has shown he's a wizard defensively, not much at the plate. It'll be interesting if Daniel can play that position competently. You know, how you make that decision. Do you go with a guy who's fantastic in the field, or do you vie for offense on a team that has really needed offense the second half of the season?
Well, so much is going to depend on what the Mets get from Jason Bay next year. Is Angel Pagan going to play as well next year as he did this year? And is Carlos Beltran going to be here? And if he is, at what level is he going to play? And I think you have to get some idea about the answers to those questions before you can figure out what you need at second base.
Well, Beltran's going to be here.
Lined off the pitcher's glove, and McDonald makes the play to get Toley for the 3rd out. 1-2-3 for McDonald. No score after 4. latest happenings in New York sports with insider info, exclusive interviews, special guests, and heated debate on Daily News Live, Wheelhouse, and Loudmouths, all part of the New York Sports Local, weekdays starting at 5 on SNY. Third time around the batting order for the Pirates against Dylan G. Andrew McCutchen is 0 for 2, grounded to third, fly to center. Pirates are last in the league in hitting, last in the league in runs scored, last in the league in on-base percentage, second to last in the league in slugging percentage. Then throw in the fact that their pitching staff has the highest ERA of any staff in the league, and you can understand why they've already lost 94 games.
And they've made over 100 errors as a team, so we can pile on.
Can't hit it, can't catch it. But when you look like a guy like Andrew McCutchen, who's just a fun player to watch, an exciting player.
It's an awful burden for a manager to try to bear when his team just can't score and has had trouble stopping the opposition from doing the same. But, you know, with McCutchen and Tabata and Walker and Alvarez, they at least have a cadre of young players who could be the part of future success.
Well, they've also got this young man right here, McCutchen, who I think is a nice talented young player. He takes a rip. He's got a quick bat.
They want him to bunt more, take advantage of his speed.
Well, he's got a .350 on base percentage, so that's not awful considering his batting average of 247. 274. So if he can get that up to about, 375 or so, and you can do that with the bunting, cutting down on the strikeouts.
Has over 30 stolen bases this year. G misses high, and it's 2-2. And McCutchen reaches for the fastball and fouls it off. Long turn at bat here for Andrew McCutchen. He has struck out 2. He's walked 3. And the curveball strikes out McCutchen for the first out of the inning.
There's the first little off-speed curve set up nicely. Everything hard. He took something off that curveball. Watch McCutchen out in front. Good pitch. Good pitch.
So 1 out and nobody on here. Jose Tabata fly to center and struck out 0 for 2. And that curveball in for a strike. Walker on deck.
He's got a lot of big swingers here. Big long swings.
Down to third. Tough play and under the glove of right. And off the tarp. Heading for second is Tabata, and in standing with his 18th double of the year.
I think David thought he had this. Normally you thought he would think he would dive. Just under his glove.
I think he also knows the runner, and Tabata can run. So even if he dives to that baseball, good thing he could have kept it in the infield and kept Tabata from second base.
Yep. So now Walker, who's 0 for 1, walked and flied to right. Pirates already 0 for 4 with runners in scoring position tonight. G did a terrific job in the last inning, working around a leadoff double by Garrett Jones. See how he can do here with the 3 and 4 hitters coming up. And Tabata at second with 1 out. And Walker takes in tight for ball 1. Neil Walker hitting over 300 from both sides of the plate. You see that very often.
Yeah, that's impressive.
G upset with himself, but at least he moved the hitter back, and it's 2-0.
It's always a very nice pitch to hit right here, 2-0. You can just be geared fastball. Should be able to cover the whole plate.
You see anything else, take it, right?
Unless it's hanging.
And the fastball away, and so G behind 3-0. In the last inning, after giving up the double to Jones, he walked the next hitter Alvarez before working out of the jam. Now Jones is 2 for 2, is on deck. About to throw his 85th pitch of the night. G on 3-0. Throws it right down the heart of the plate for a strike. Dylan G was a 21st round draft pick. Not considered to be a huge prospect coming out of college at Texas Arlington. But 3 years after being drafted, here he is pitching in the big leagues. His second major league start and another good one. 3-1. And that's just off the plate, ball 4. And so Walker is on for the second time via the walk. 4 walks now for G. 2 aboard for Garrett Jones. Let's check in with Kevin.
Kenny Oberkfell is here this week with the Mets guys. He managed G at AAA Buffalo all year. And I asked him, give me something that really liked about G. And, he talked about his work ethic and how he got better. His off-speed got better all year. But he said, I'll give you a situation. Late in the year, we're at Scranton. And, big spot. We're vying for playoffs here. And, late in the game, 2 situations. 6th inning, 1st and 3rd, nobody out. He strikes out the side. Poised. Never saw him sweat or change demeanor. Nothing. 7th inning, still scoreless game. Gets a runner on 3rd with 1 out. Strikes out batter. Gets a pop-up right back to him. End the inning. He said, it was a big game. It was a big spot. And I never saw any difference in him. Never saw any nerves in him. Here's a test for G right here, guys.
Well, he's passed every test so far. Now he's got another one facing a guy who's already got a couple of hits. The second one, a lucky one, a check swing double that went right over the third base bag. First time, though, Jones pulled the ball to right. So he's 2 for 2 on the night. And the fastball up and away, and G behind in the count.
G likes to run that fastball away from lefties, and he's just missing. He's looking for that double play.
In the air to left center field. Beltran back. And he's there to make the grab. Tagging at second is Tabata. The throw goes to second. So Jones retired for the first time tonight. That's the second out of the inning. And the Pirates have runners at the corners for Pedro Alvarez.
Boy, that ball, when it gets in the outfield tonight, I don't know whether it's the heavy air because of the rain. It is not carrying anywhere.
So the Alvarez contingent on its feet again and ready to roar. Might be better if the sign were right side up, but we get it. You are number 1 in New York City. We can read upside down. Number 1 is the same right side up or upside down.
That's right.
Alvarez 0 for 1, struck out and walked. And he takes the fastball on the inside edge. There's a good pitch by G.
He's been doing that, Gary. I've been watching. He gets in trouble. The left-hand hitter, he likes to run on that fastball up and in first pitch.
Generally, it's been off the plate. This time he got the strike call. Borderline from Mike Everett. Again, Tolley sets up inside. And this time misses in. 1-1. He's been consistently 88 to 90 with that fastball tonight. Never going to be an overpowering guy. But as we talked about when he pitched in Washington, the guys without the overpowering stuff, those are the guys who learn how to pitch early in their career.
But the 2 pitches in have set up a changeup, but comes back with that fastball. And like you said, Keith, likes to go. You're going to make less mistakes on your fastball than you are on your breaking pitch.
Agreed. Backer would be next, but G trying to get through the inning ahead on Alvarez 1-2.
3 straight fastballs, 2 in, and he ran 1 up and away.
He hasn't bounced the curveball yet. He struck him out in a changeup in his first at bat, but he hasn't bounced the curveball in the dirt yet to Alvarez.
To the right side, Hernandez makes the toss to G covering, and the side retired. Dylan G, 5 scoreless innings, halfway through, no score. against James McDonald. And Duda takes the fastball high for ball one. Lucas flied to left his first time up. It'll be Duda, then Luis Hernandez. Then the pitcher spot is due. There's no action in the Mets bullpen. G has thrown 92 pitches over 5 innings, so we suspected that they might pinch hit. But as yet, it doesn't appear as though that's on the horizon. So it looks like Dylan might be getting into bat here in the 5th. Duda trying to snap an 0 for 19. Leading off here in the 5th. Hits it hard, but right at Walker. And I don't know if he caught that out of the air or not, since no umpire made any kind of call. Here's the results of your Toyota text poll. Do you think Ruben Tejada should be playing on a regular basis? And a rather overwhelming response. I mean, it seems like a no-brainer, doesn't it?
Seems like one.
By the way, they scored that a line drive to the second baseman, 4 unassisted. 1 out, and here's Luis Hernandez, who struck out his first time up. And bounces 1 foul. And again, I have to reiterate, it's no knock on Luis Hernandez, but Hernandez has had some time in the big leagues. He's shown, what he can do. He's a nice defensive player, could be a very good utility man, particularly as a switch hitter. But Ruben Tejada's 20 years old, has a chance to be a big part of the Mets' future. And you're playing meaningless games against teams that are out of the race. It would seem to be no better time to find out what he can do.
To me, it'd be the equivalent of having Henry Mejia here and not starting him every 5th day. You're starting him every 5th day because you want to see Henry Mejia, how he's going to pitch major league level as a starter.
And the argument that Jerry made today about trying to get his batting average over 300 by playing him only against lefties, I could see that if he were just starting, but he's already gone through the worst depths of a slump. He was, 1 for 47 or some ridiculous thing earlier this year, and he worked his way out of that.
Yes. And he was swinging the bat the best I thought, the best all year.
2-2 to Hernandez. And he goes down swinging for the second time. 3rd strikeout for James McDonald, who's now retired 8 in a row.
Guys, you're talking about Tejada, and the one thing that I'll say about him is that I don't think it bothers him. Now, don't take that the wrong way. I'm not saying he wants to be 1 for 47, but he's pretty unflappable. I mean, even talking to him when he was in the middle of that slump, and talking to a couple guys in the clubhouse that talked to him a lot and kind of lean a shoulder to him. He doesn't really get phased. He didn't really get bummed out or anything by that. So I think in a way he could handle it. I know you worry about a guy's confidence in there, but I feel like he didn't get too low even when he was in that rut,
Well, we know one thing. He'll be in the lineup the next 2 days against the lefties, Zach Duke and Paul Maholm. So we'll see what happens from there. Meanwhile, G is going to get himself another inning. Taking the at-bat here and takes a curveball for a call, 3rd strike. So McDonald's retired 9 in a row. That's his 4th strikeout. Scoreless game after 5. Dickey goes after his 11th win tomorrow against Zach Duke. Henry Mejia tries for his first big league win against Paul Maholm Wednesday, and Mike Pelfrey against Charlie Morton on Thursday night before the Braves come in for the weekend. John Bowker leads off the 6th inning against Dylan G, and that's ball 1 somewhere. Bowker is grounded to third and fly to center 0 for 2. It'll be Bowker, then Ronnie Cedeno and Chris Snyder, 6, 7, and 8 for the Pirates. And Bowker lifts one to shallow center. Beltran easing in. 1 away. Ronnie Cedeno coming up. Let's check in with Chris Carlin. He's standing by with the New York State Smokers Quit Line game break. All right, Chris, here's Ronnie Cedeno taking outside for ball 1. Meanwhile, the Phillies have tacked on another home run. Greg Dobbs, their 4th home run of the night, and they lead the Marlins 11-1 in the 7th. And how about Derek Lowe? Remember when we were in Atlanta and Lowe was getting a shot in his elbow and they had no idea what was going to happen? Well, it's his 2nd start since then. He's got 8 scoreless innings tonight against the Nats.
And they were saying that maybe they're going to take him out of the rotation.
He was getting buried in the papers. There was a columnist wrote a column in the Atlanta Constitution that just buried him. And there he is.
Cedeno takes it high. And G behind 3-1. G's walked 4 tonight. That's unusual for him. One of those was intentional. Billy Wagner's pitch in the 9th inning for the Braves in that game, by the way. Chasing a high pitch, and it's 3-2. This is a Pirate team that does not really enjoy walking all that much. Both bullpens are quiet. They have the 2nd fewest walks of any team in the National League. 3-2 from G, and Cedeno lines one toward the middle, a base hit. So the Pirates have their 5th hit tonight. A 1-out base runner in the 6th. Right at 100 pitches for the night. Not quite the strike to ball ratio he's accustomed to. He was much better in D.C. his first start. Now Chris Snyder has been aboard twice with a single to left and an intentional walk. Snyder, as Elmer DeSenz gets up in the Mets bullpen, Snyder came into the day hitting just 170 since coming to the Pirates. And he was brought over for, his occasional power, but mostly for his defense. But then Friday night, the Pirates got involved in a game with the Reds, tie game, bottom of the 9th. Little ground ball, play to the plate for the force, and Snyder just flat out dropped the ball as the game-winning run scored.
Had to take his eye off it because what a damaging play.
It was as routine a play as you could have. G missing with the breaking ball, and told he's going to run it back out to him.
Well, I'm not a big fan, but in today's game, when the ball is thrown into the catcher for any kind of athletic play of tagging the plate or applying the tag, they keep their masks on now, which I think has to limit a little bit their ability to see the baseball. And you say, well, wait a minute, when they're catching a pitcher, they have the mask on, it doesn't limit them, but this is coming from different angles, and if it's coming from the outfield, sometimes it's one hop, and those things are a little more difficult to see with the mask on.
I don't know why you'd have to keep your mask on a force play situation. I can understand if a runner's bearing down on you and there might be a collision.
I just think it's always better to take the mask off, be able to see the entire field, because now your peripheral vision, you'll be able to see the runner coming in from third in your peripheral vision, and that helps also in applying the tag.
Cedeno at first. Snyder late on the fastball, 2-2.
That reminds me of when I was with the St. Louis Cardinals. I had a bang-bang play at home plate where I collided with John Stearns with the Mets. He didn't take his mask off, and his mask hit my collarbone. I almost broke my collarbone. I mean, it felt like it. I mean, it hurt, and I was screaming at him in the dugout, take the mask off, and a couple expletives. But we would laugh about it today.
Popped up and foul ground. right near the dugout, has room. And that's a big second out for Dylan G. Now he's got the pitcher coming up with 2 out. You know, the thing about that play with you colliding with John Stearns at the plate, if he'd hit you with his chin instead of his face mask, it might have hurt you just as much.
That's true.
You know how solid he was.
Yes, he was. But he wasn't a big catcher, really. John was so athletic. He was more of an athletic catcher. And he wasn't a big bruiser
He was more a defensive back than a linebacker.
Exactly.
Although he'll tell you that he could have been both and been All-American at both. Of course, he was a big college star in Colorado. Here's James McDonald, who's 0 for 2, and he pops one in foul ground. Another run for right near the dugout, sliding to make the grab. Beautifully done by David Wright for the 3rd out. He's got a lot of business in front of that dugout tonight. Terrifically timed play. Still a scoreless game at Citi Field. To you by Toyota. It's the Now's the Time sales event at your Toyota dealer. Hurry, offers end soon. My Bob's Discount Furniture now open in Manhattan off the FDR Drive at 117th Street. Go to mybobs.com for details. And by State Farm. Today's State Farm agent of the day is Pat Cawley of Glendale. Dylan G with 6 scoreless innings under his belt, 106 pitches, probably done for the night. Elmer descends, getting ready to pitch the 7th, and the Mets hopeful of getting G a run to give him a chance to go 2-0 in his major league career. Top of the batting order, Jose Reyes, single to right in the 1st inning. And then in the 3rd, a curious decision after G doubled to lead off. Reyes was asked to bunt, executed the sacrifice, but the Mets have not had a base runner since.
It's the first time the Mets have had anyone to second base in 2 days.
Reyes fouls out. That's 10 in a row retired by James McDonald. That's an excellent point. They never got a runner to second yesterday. They've got a couple of them today. Angel Pagan 0 for 2. He's popped to short and lined to left. Final in Atlanta, Braves beat the Nats 4-0, and with the Phillies cruising 11-1 over Florida in the 7th. Looks like the Phillies will stay a game up on the Braves. Angel just 3 for his last 26. And McDonald misses wide for ball 1. The game in Colorado is still 2-0 Padres as they play in the 3rd. Padres going with the rookie Lupke tonight against the Rockies in Colorado, where the Rockies have been well nigh unbeatable this year. 1-2 to Angel.
Just a late Angel, just a little late. I wonder if he's first time he's had this many at bats in a season.
And we just watch his front shoulder. He gets in trouble with pulls out too much. Doesn't drive. Really, just doesn't keep that shoulder in there long enough.
Well, could that be a sign of fatigue, Keith?
No, I think it's timing. There's no reason in the world that Angel should be tired playing this many games. He's a young man. He's in great physical shape. I just think it's a course of a long season. It's the first time he's played every day.
How about mental fatigue?
That's a whole different ball of wax.
Happens to a lot of players. You see the pitches here by McDonald, low pitch count. It happens to a lot of players is that he's had a nice season, and mentally to stay in it, because just like announcers or anyone else around, you can see the end. You can see the light at the end of the tunnel, that the season's going to be done, and you got to fight against that.
It's
to play each day hard.
Still a long way away. I mean, think of it this way: the Jets are playing their opener tonight. The Mets are playing the late portion of their season. The Mets have more games left in their season than the Jets are going to play this year.
That's right.
It's a very, very long season. 3-2 to Pagan with 1 out. And ball 4, and the Mets finally get themselves another base runner. Second walk of the night for McDonald, who threw 7 scoreless in his last start against the Braves and 5 1/3 scoreless so far tonight. That's looking to crack through now. You got to think Pagan's going to try and steal the base with Beltran coming up.
Well, look at it this way. That's a lot of time left, Gary. 19 games left. That's 90 to 100 at bats. A lot of bad things or good things can happen in that time.
Beltran is lined to first and struck out. Pagan with 33 steals on the year, going on the first pitch, and Snyder's throw is right on the money, and he got him. A perfect throw by Chris Snyder to gun down Pagan for the second out.
Always watch the footwork of the catcher. Backhand, that's quickness. For a big guy, that's a beautiful throw. Beautiful fundies.
That's the second time in 2 games that Pagan has been thrown out, and each time the throw is as perfect as it could be. Carlos Ruiz yesterday, and now Snyder tonight.
Well, one of the things that Snyder did that's very unusual, most catchers will throw more 3/4. Snyder straight over the top, and when you have a catcher who does that, the ball doesn't tend to drift away from the infielder. It stays true.
Beltran drives one to right field, but right there waiting for it is Bowker, and that ends the inning. So the Mets are done in the bottom of the 6th. On we go to the 7th, still a scoreless game. Mets and Pirates at Citi Field. game. Tune into SNY for behind-the-scenes access, player reactions, and a complete game breakdown with exclusive on-field interviews and Rex Ryan's post-game comments on Jets Post-Game Live, presented by Toyota, tonight immediately after the Jets-Ravens game, only on SNY. 10-6 Ravens in the third quarter. Elmer descends on to pitch the seventh for the Mets.
Yeah, everyday Elmer right now, working almost every day. 43rd game for Elmer descends this season.
Andrew McCutchen up for the fourth time. He's grounded out. He's flied out. He's struck out. Well, Dylan G could not have done more for the second straight time to the mound. 6 innings, no runs, 5 hits, 4 walks, 1 intentional, 3 strikeouts. Through his first 2 major league starts, Dylan G has an earned run average of 0.69. This stuff's easy. Only thing not easy tonight was his offense getting him a run.
Well, think about it. Kevin had the report earlier that Ken Oberfeld, his manager in AAA, had said that he gets tougher when people are on base. So you never want a pitcher to get in trouble, but he was in trouble most of the innings tonight, and he kept his cool and kept it scoreless.
Fourth inning particularly, leadoff double by Garrett Jones, and he was able to work out of that. And then in the fifth, a 1-out double by Tabata, who's on deck now, and he was able to get through that. Two and two to McCutchen, and he strikes him out with a high fastball. So McCutchen is fanned for the second straight time. Here's the line for G. 2 terrific starts to begin his major league career. Now Tabata, who's 1 for 3, a double right over the third base bag in the fifth inning. Pirates with 5 hits, the Mets with 3, as Pittsburgh bats in the seventh. And Tabata takes a strike. We talk a lot as the season starts to wind down about prospects for different players for next year. Elmer Descends is 39. He'll be 40 next year. Can this team afford to be without him?
No. I mean, because he can serve many different roles. You know, I mean, this year he was the 8th inning man for a while. He's been the long man. He came in and got some key outs like in 6th and 7th inning earlier in the season. And he can throw every day, which is always important to have one of those guys in your bullpen.
And to me, and we've seen him for a long time, going back to when he started with the Pirates, as a matter of fact, he doesn't appear to be any different now at age 39 than he was at 29.
I agree.
He was a starting pitcher earlier in his career when he first came out of the Mexican League, and the Pirates signed him. Behind 3-1 here on Tabata. Down the right field side, and Pagan is over. That's the second out.
Well, sometimes you watch a game and you say to yourself, you know, you try to analyze when a team is going to score. For both of these teams, you start to think of how they're going to score.
No. Games like this are usually decided by a misplay or a home run. Neil Walker, 0 for 1 and a pair of walks, started the night with an 18-game hitting streak. And he grounds this one down to Ike Davis. And Ike makes the easy play and descends, has himself a 1-2-3 top of the seventh. Now it's stretch time at Citi Field with no runs on the board. consecutive scoreless innings across his last 2 starts, and a very low pitch count, just 71 pitches going into the bottom of the 7th inning. David Wright, Ike Davis, and Josh Tolley will take a crack at McDonald's here in the 7th. David 1 for 2, singled it back in the 2nd. And after swinging at the first pitch in each of his first 2 at bats and putting the ball in play, he got a pitch that he couldn't possibly swing at for ball 1. So he swings at the 2nd and pops it up. Walker drifting out, and Wright retired, 1 away. The Mets have had 3 hits in this game. Reyes singled in the 1st, Wright singled in the 2nd, and Gillen G doubled in the 3rd. The Mets had just 4 hits in the game yesterday against Roy Oswalt.
Mets starting pitching has been outstanding at the plate, haven't they, of late?
That's true. But the Mets have now gone 16 straight innings without scoring a run. As Ike Davis steps in, Ike twice has flied to left in this game. And they've, you look at the PPG Pittsburgh Paints overhead camera.
Ike not terribly close to the plate.
One thing that he's done with his performance over the last couple of weeks is that he's forced the defenses to play him straight up now.
I don't think he's as open with that front foot as he was earlier in the season either. Well, here's a good pitch to air it out a little bit. 2-0. You think you got to get a fastball here from McDonald.
Maybe he'll get that mistake he's been looking for the last 3 months. And that would be middle in.
Would you have him swing 3-0?
I would, absolutely. Yep, taken all the way.
Okay, now it's time for the fans of the Pepsi porch to get ready. Borderline strike, and it's 3-2.
Well, there's a case when Ike gets a little smarter, you know, in a game like this.
Look in.
You can look middle in. You know, he's a guy that's going to hit 20-plus home runs. If you don't get it, spit on it.
He drives one toward the gap in right center field, and that's in for an extra base hit. Can he get 3 bases out of this? McCutchen plays the carom, and Ike will settle for a double. Well, it didn't quite make it to the Pepsi porch, but Ike with the Mets' first extra base hit in the last 2 days.
Well, there's a pitch that had the outer half, and that's just all over. Ike's had actually 3 pretty quality at bats off of McDonald here.
He hasn't been fooled. Ike Davis safe at second, safe and secure. New York life. That's the Mets' first extra base hit since Jose Reyes' home run in the 3rd inning on Saturday. By a position player. Because, after all, Dylan G did have a double. Here's Josh Tolley, who walked and hit a comebacker, 0 for 1. And the changeup sits high for ball 1.
Looking to attack this pitch as your IOTV pitch differential. Just up. Got the outside corner. You see Ike is attacking the outside corner.
Ray Searage, the Pirate pitching coach, who took over for the fired Joe Kerrigan about a month ago.
Well, Ray Searage, who came up with the Mets, played with the Mets in 1981.
Chris Resoff up in the Pirate bullpen.
What did you tell me about Searage?
He's the most perfect Met ever. He has a 1,000 winning percentage as a Met, 1-0, and he has a 1,000 career batting average as a Met.
Never,
1 for 1.
Never failed at anything here.
Perfect. The world's most perfect Met, Ray Searage. Left-hander who played in Milwaukee, I guess, was probably where he spent the bulk of his career, right?
Yeah. Most perfect Met. If he hit you, you'd feel compelled to apologize. That's funny.
Lucas Duda on deck. Josh Tolley trying to pick up the game's first run with Davis at second and 1 out. And Tolley watches off the plate. 2-0. So second straight hitter that McDonald has fallen behind. McDonald has walked 2, struck out 4. Pedro Feliciano up in the Mets bullpen as they work down toward the bottom of the batting order. And Tolley takes it low, and again it's 3-0. He's not swinging 3-0.
Definitely not. This is a good pitch to hit. Line drive hitter. Sitting on a fastball. You can see slightly shaded to the opposite field.
Very shallow in right field.
3-1. Bounce to short. That'll force Davis to hold. And Cedeno throws out Tolley for the second out. So 2 out. Davis still at second. Feliciano still throwing in the bullpen. And here's Lucas Duda.
What a time to break down, right? Get himself a knock.
It'd be a beautiful time for him.
Right?
Fly to left and hit a low liner to second, 0 for 2.
It'd be a beautiful time for a base hit.
1 for 31 in his major league career. And the first pitch fastball foul back. Mets tonight are 0 for 5 with runners in scoring position. Duda had one of those at bats in the second inning. He came up with 2 men on. Flat out to left. His only hit as a Met produced a run in Chicago.
He's just dropping that back shoulder, Gare, and it makes him a low ball hitter, but it makes it tough for him to attack the high pitch. A lot of movement with the hands on that bat.
And are those related? Is all that movement related to him dropping the back shoulder?
It's not. I don't believe so. It's just his swing. You know, all your preparation when you're in your stance. It is what it is, no matter what you do. I mean, look at Gary Sheffield, who really stayed level on a high pitch. You know, he had all that movement.
It's where the hands are right before the ball is delivered is really the key for good hitters.
They're chanting Duda. Off-speed pitch by McDonald, and a good one, 2-2.
Well, I know when you've been struggling like this, how your mind is racing and everything's in fast motion.
And they make 2-1 changeup pitches for strikes.
The other way, Tabata moving back, and he's got it to end the inning. A double and 1 left, 7 in the books at Citi Field with no score. switch. Jesus comes in to play left, and perpetual Pedro on the mound.
Pedro going again for that, his own personal record, 78 games now. He has 79. You see that one loss record, not what you usually see, but now he's gotten his ERA back down under 3.
He'll come in to face the left-hand hitters, Garrett Jones, Pedro Alvarez, John Bowker, due up here in the 8th inning. Pirates have 5 hits, the Mets have 4. Dylan G, the Mets starter, went 6 innings, no runs, 5 hits. Elmer DeSenza, 1-2-3 7th. The Pirates starter, James McDonald, has gone the distance and allowed no runs and 4 hits. And he's still under 90 pitches through 7 innings. So it'll be interesting to see what John Russell does if he gets down to that pitcher's spot with a chance to get a run. Pitcher due up 6th here in the 8th inning. Garrett Jones is 2 for 3, a single and a double. Flied out to center field his last time up. And Pedro runs one inside for ball 1. Pedro Alvarez on deck. And another fastball inside, 2-0. Well, it's certainly been a theme in this game, hasn't it? That pitcher's pitching inside of the Pirate left-hand hitters. There's a strike, 2-1. James McDonald, 7 scoreless against the Braves his last time out, and with more in the tank tonight. He's been their best pitcher since he came over from the Dodgers. And that one's off the foot of Jones, 2-2. The appearances is Pedro going to wind up with this year.
He pitches in half the games. That'll get up to about 87, 88.
This is number 79 tonight. 2-2. In the air, shallow right center. And Pagan knifes in. 1 away. Chris Carlin standing by with the New York State Smokers Quit Line game break. All right, Chris, and in that Florida 4, Dan Uggla hit his 30th home run of the year for the Marlins. He's having a terrific year. Here's Alvarez, who's 0 for 2 in a walk. Pedro versus Pedro. And the slider misses for ball 1. This will go to Florida on their next and final road trip of the year. Chris Riesopp is standing around in the Pirate bullpen. 1-1 to Alvarez, who has struck out, walked, and grounded out to second base. Biggest out Dylan G got, arguably, was in that 5th inning with 2 on and 2 out. He got Alvarez to ground one to Luis Hernandez. And a fastball for a strike, and Feliciano gets even. Manny Acosta up in the Mets bullpen. Check the count. It's 1-2 to Alvarez. Lastings Millage has come out on deck to be a pinch hitter for John Bowker to get the Pirates a right-handed bat against Feliciano. There's Lastings. 2-2. And we'll do it again. Breaking ball, strike 3 call. Alvarez down looking, and Feliciano's gotten the first 2 outs in the 8th.
Big sweeping hook. Froze him right on the corner.
So now Millage will bat for Bowker, and we'll see if Jerry makes a move. John Russell has plenty of left-handed bats on the bench if he brought in Acosta. So it looks like he'll stick with Feliciano to take on the former Met Millage. Gets a less than happy reception from the Citi Field crowd. Lastings have been swinging the bat well lately. 5 hits in his last 8 at bats. There's your PPG Pittsburgh Paints overhead camera as Millage settles in. And the backdoor breaking ball for a strike. Millage has seen his playing time diminish as this year has gone along with the emergence of Jose Tabata. It appeared when the Pirates traded Nyjer Morgan to the Nationals last year for Millage that Millage was going to get a chance to play every day, but it has not worked out that way for him. He's hitting .278 on the year, but John Russell said the other day that for Millage, batting average is nice, but they need to see more production from him. Just 4 home runs, 34 driven in this year for Millage. Ronnie Cedeno would be next. Now the 2-1. And it's ruled out to shortstop, and Reyes behind the bag. Guns down Millage to end the inning. 1-2-3 for Pedro Feliciano. Still no score. Highlight show in town. Plenty of coverage of the Jets-Ravens. It's now 10-9 Baltimore in the 4th quarter. Giants getting ready to face the Manning brothers head-to-head. And the final at the U.S. Open this afternoon, all on Geico Sports Night tonight after the postgame at 1 a.m. right here on SNY. Last of the 8th, Lastings Millage goes into right field for the Pirates. Chris Carter will come up to pinch hit for the Mets, as James McDonald tries to continue his shutout streak. 14 consecutive scoreless against the Braves and now against the Mets. Carter hitting for Luis Hernandez. And he lifts one to left field. We'll say Tabata moves back a stride to make the grab. 1 pitch and 1 out. Carter is retired, and now Jesus Feliciano will come up for the first time. Jesus appeared in the game yesterday and was retired by comebacker by Roy Oswald. On the inside edge, he bluffs the bunt. The Mets had just 4 hits yesterday. They have just 4 hits today. Now 17 straight scoreless innings. 1-1 to Feliciano with Jose Reyes on deck. Line over short. That's a base hit for Feliciano. Catching over quickly to cut it off and hold Jesus to a single.
Nice hitting. We all know that he likes to go that way. Just out of the reach of Cedeno.
For James McDonald, this is the longest he's ever gone in a major league game, 7 1/3 innings. So he's in uncharted territory right now. Reyes 1 for 2 in a sacrifice tonight, and he fouls back the off-speed pitch. 0-1.
Well, that fastball up to Feliciano, that changeup up to Reyes. That's a pitch he wish he had back.
A little bit out of the strike zone.
Feliciano, not much of a base stealer. Check swing. Did he go? They check at third, and yes, he did. Todd Tichenor with the call, and it's 0-2 to Reyes.
Ronnie?
Well, you know what it is? There's so much movement in Reyes when he's hitting that the third base umpire, not only does he see the bat maybe come through, but Reyes' body almost looks like he has gone through with the swing.
Now it's 0-2 as McDonald checks in on Feliciano. And the changeup low and away. 1-2. Angel Pagan on deck. That's trying to break through against James McDonald. '97th pitch of the night upcoming. And Reyes watches another one low and away. 2-2. Just off the corner with the fastball and a full count to Reyes. So Jose, who's in an 0-2 hole, works his way back full.
Well, this ball misses outside. Ball run away. Yep, that's outside 3 inches. Can't call that one.
And we have to say, Mike Everett behind the plate has had a very good game. Very consistent strike zone.
Got to send Feliciano here, don't you?
Yes. No question. Sorry, Gary. Ronnie and I are emphatic.
We'll try to do it in harmony next time.
Who's taking the high notes?
I don't know.
It's like Gary could say, gee, sorry I asked.
Never sorry.
We still get fired up here, I'm telling you.
Feliciano runs. Reyes grounds one toward the hole. Nice diving stop by Jones, and he beats Reyes to the bag. Fine play by Garrett Jones for the second out. Now Feliciano at second base.
Well, he's got to guard the line here, and it opens the hole. Nice play. See, he's guarding the line. But you see, he was on his toes. Very nicely done. Feliciano thinking about going. Oh,
could that be obstruction? Could that be obstruction?
Wow. The umpire saw it, was right in front of him.
They could have given him third base.
Well, they probably thought that he wouldn't have gone because the ball was, he's got to get out of the way.
Well, no argument from the Mets. Now they go ahead run in scoring position with 2 out for Pagan. And Angel hits one in the air to center field. McCutchen moving over, and the side retired. Mets get a hit and leave one. We go to the 9th. No score in Flushing. Duke as the Mets continue their 4-game set against the Pirates here at Citi Field. Mets-Pirates coverage begins with Subway pregame live tomorrow at 6:30 p.m. only on SNY. 9th inning, Ruben Tejada takes over at second base for the Mets. And Isanori Takahashi will take the mound for the 9th in a scoreless game.
Well, those Takahashi's numbers on the season. He's done it all for the Mets. 8 wins on the season. 3.81 ERA is fine. 103 strikeouts. Almost a strikeout per inning.
Picked up his 6th save on Saturday afternoon against the Phillies. Comes in here in a tie game. Let's check in with Kevin.
Guys, thinking going forward again, which we've been trying to do for this Mets team, is Takahashi, who is signed here on a minor league deal and is a free agent after the year. But think about it. All the talk about Bobby Parnell as the possible closer. What about Takahashi as a possible closer? I mean, he's done the job, obviously, 6 for 6 in those roles. He's really done the job everywhere he's been in this Mets pitching staff. And I asked him about it. He said, you know what? I'm anxious in the bullpen. When Bobby's out there, when I'm on the mound, I'm not anxious at all. But I have had to get used to the pitching style a little bit. I'm definitely using my fastball and my sinker a lot more than I would when I was starting. I'm used to it a little bit. I closed for 2 months in Japan. He's like, look, for me, the Mets want to be back here as a closer. I'd love to be back here. But, I did start for 10 years, and I still think that I would like to start. But that being said, I'm trying to find my niche here in Major League Baseball, so we'll see.
Ronnie Cedeno leading off the 9th, hooks one down the left field side, and that's foul. But keep in mind, Takahashi signed that very unusual contract, which makes him a free agent after his first year in the majors, and there are going to be a lot of teams bidding for his services. The question is, what's the price going to be, and who's going to offer him the role that he wants the best?
That's right. And I mean, from Kevin's reports, he would welcome a team that wants him to allow him to start.
0-2 to Cedeno, and the changeup in the dirt, 1-2.
I personally feel he's more valuable in the bullpen because he can throw almost every day. He can fit a lot of different roles. The one thing he has working against him in the bullpen is he's not a traditional specialty lefty. He's not the guy you're going to have come in and throw the big breaking ball to get the left-hand hitter out.
into shallow center, and there's Beltran. Well, the idea of having a left-handed closer who throws a changeup is certainly not foreign in this neck of the woods. The Mets had one of the best in John Franklin.
I agree with Ronnie that his value is in the bullpen. Remember, he got pretty much lit up. He got off to the hot start starting, and then he got touched up. He gave up a lot of home runs to right-hand hitters.
It was those 2 starts against the Yankees that really sold him as a starter. 12 innings, no runs.
Got to be careful with Chris Snyder, who has home run power, and Takahashi keeps it away from him. Andy LaRoche on deck to pinch hit. But Snyder with 14 home runs in just 285 at-bats this year. Keeping it on the outside corner, and it's 1-1.
You know, Ronnie, Jerry told me today, Jerry Emanuel said today, you know, I feel like for Takahashi, and he agreed with you about the bullpen, I feel like any team, anytime, anywhere, I could send him out there around the lineup one time, and he'd do the job. It's after that one time the trouble.
Evan Meek on the left, and Chris Resop on the right. 2 of the 10 right-handers available in the Pirate bullpen. Right, Keith? Here's the 1-2 and the changeup away, 2-2.
I mean, how do you even manage that? Do they have enough bench space down there for those guys?
They might have to stand.
That's right.
It's like, you know, rush hour on the subway. Sometimes you got to grab the strap.
That's right.
2-2. Just missed, and a full count to Snyder, with LaRoche on deck waiting to pinch hit. Each team with 5 hits in this game. The Mets bullpen has been spotless so far. 3 up, 3 down for Descend. Same for Feliciano. Takahashi got his first hitter. Now 3-2 to Snyder. And he walked him. So a 1-out base runner for the Pirates in the 9th inning. Van Warthen going through the reports. We're going to get a pinch runner now for Snyder. This is Alex Presley, speedy outfielder who made his first Major League start yesterday for the Pirates. So Presley runs for Snyder. LaRoche bats for McDonald, who leaves after 8 stellar innings in which he allowed no runs and 5 hits, his second straight shutout performance. Now the Pirates will try and get him a run and a chance for a win. LaRoche, who lost his starting job to Pedro Alvarez, has been little used and little effective, hitting just .209, and he takes ball 1. Younger brother of Adam LaRoche. And Andy's career has pretty much roadblocked here in Pittsburgh after coming over from the Dodgers. Just 4 for 34 as a pinch hitter. And now Takahashi behind him 2-0 after walking Snyder, with Andrew McCutchen on deck. Two and 1.
Never seen so many swings and misses. Pirates, they can check their bats with Swiss cheese.
McCutchen struck out each of his last 2 at-bats. He's on deck. Takahashi looking for the double play ball from LaRoche. Gets the swing and miss on the changeup, and it's 2-2.
Get into these kind of games and you see these big swings. Good changeup from Takahashi.
See, the Phillies have won their game, so they stay a game in front of the Braves. 2-2. Fouled away.
How about those pods?
Padres adding to their lead.
There's never a safe lead in that yard.
Right.
It's a long way to go in that game. I'm pulling for the Pods. I mean, they've had such a good year. No one expected it. I want them to hang on.
not going to make a lot of your friends back home in San Francisco very happy.
Wow. I was never a big Giant
No,
fan.
that's right.
And,
That's right.
and you've got relatives in Denver, too.
That's true. It's very true.
2-2 to LaRoche. The runner goes. A pitch outside. Toley's throw is perfect, and he got him. Josh Toley guns down the pinch runner Presley for the second out.
Boy, I tell you, I thought he got in here. I tell you what, Josh has really improved his throwing. That was a terrific jump. He was safe.
The ball beat him, but watch the tag as he gets to the outside part of the
He's
bag.
safe.
Tejada got the call, and there are 2 out and nobody on. 3-2 the count to Andy LaRoche. And he stays alive.
Let's take a peek. He's in there. I don't think he's yep, he's in there.
Yeah.
That's a blown call.
Andy Fletcher, the second base umpire, making the call in favor of the Mets. Pirates dugout not pleased. LaRoche now swinging on the changeup, and Takahashi is through the top of the ninth. Now the Mets on the heart of the batting order, coming up in the bottom of the ninth, trying to win it with Beltran, Wright, and Davis. No runs and 4 hits. Today have no runs and 5 hits. But they've got their best bats up in the 9th inning to try and win it in their final turn. New battery in for the Pirates. Ryan Doumit will catch, and that's important because he cannot throw very well if the Mets get a speedy man on. And Chris Riesoff will pitch the bottom of the 9th.
Well, he was claimed off waivers from the Atlanta Braves by the Pittsburgh Pirates. Spent most of the season in Gwinnett with the AAA farm club for Atlanta, and he's been their hottest pitcher out of bullpen. 7 straight scoreless appearances.
Very effective against right-hand hitters, but has really struggled against the lefties. And the Mets have Carlos Beltran batting left-handed against him to lead off. Carlos 0 for 3 tonight, and he takes the first pitch fastball for a strike. It'll be Beltran, then Wright and Davis to try and get it done in the last of the 9th. Each team with no runs and 5 hits. And Carlos takes it away, 1-1.
Boy, you don't usually see Carlos do this, but the third baseman just giving him the bunt if he wanted to take it.
Yeah, the dirt, 2-1. Don't forget that the Jets post-game show tonight, Jets post-game live, will follow the Mets post-game show, Lincoln Mercury post-game live, right here on SNY. Jets are down 10-9 with 2.5 minutes to go in the fourth quarter. And Beltran takes a rip and fouls it back 2-2. Mets have already had at least one game this year that was scoreless after 9. You remember that? Back in April?
Yeah, it went a ways, didn't it?
20. Right back to Resop. And Beltran retired one away. So an 0 for 4 night for Carlos. And now David Wright will try his hand. David's 1 for 3 tonight, single back in the second inning. James McDonald went 8 innings, allowed no runs and 5 hits, walked 2, struck out 4, and like Dylan G, he gets a no decision tonight. McDonald threw 100 pitches in 8 innings, and he was terrific. Much better than the pitcher we saw in Pittsburgh a couple of weeks ago. And Wright fouls back the first pitch fastball, 0-1. David has faced Resop before, 2 at bats, 2 hits. And the curveball driven to left, but Tabata is right there, playing deep. 2 out. So David hit it hard.
David 1 for 4 on the evening, 6 pitches.
So now Ike Davis, who hit the ball solidly his last time up, driving a double to right center. 1 for 3 on the night. Ike takes a fastball for a strike. Keith, I know you and Ike are very different kinds of hitters, but you come into this spot. Are you thinking about hitting the ball out of the ballpark?
Well, don't forget, I had Darryl Strawberry and Gary Carter and McReynolds hitting behind me. 3 power guys. So it's a lot different, Gare. And I was a doubles hitter. Sure, you might want to look middle in for 1 strike. Me for 1 strike. Middle in. But then, a double. You get one in the gap.
And then you got Tolley, a contact hitter behind you. 1-1 to Ike. And Resop keeping the ball away, 2-1. Davis with 18 home runs. 2 behind Mike Stanton for the rookie lead. Stanton has hit all of his since the middle of June. Late on that fastball, 2-2.
And something Ike might learn, whenever you wanted to look in, you can creep a little closer to the plate, because the pitcher in this situation is more going to keep the ball away. You got 2 options: try to sneak in a couple inches where the catcher doesn't notice, or get right on top of the plate where the catcher notices, and then look in, try to trick him.
2-2 from Resop. And Ike stays alive.
Boy, he had a pitch to hit there. That was middle of the plate in.
Sounds like Dark Shadows.
Barnabas Collins is here somewhere.
2-2 from Resop. And Davis with the defensive hack hangs in there at 2-2.
That's good to see, though, Gary, right? I mean, that's a pitch that for a while there, almost a month, he was getting it called 3rd strike, but now fouling it off. Staying the at-bat.
Takahashi ready to go out there for another inning if need be. 2-2 to Ike Davis with 2 out. And the changeup misses. 3-2. If Davis can get aboard, Josh Tolley would be next. On 3-2, Davis swings and misses. And we are going to extra innings in Flushing. Scoreless game as we head to the 10th. They're 5-8 in extra innings. The Pirates are 4-7. Isanori Takahashi, who pitched a hitless ninth, stays on for the 10th. And Andrew McCutchen will lead off an inning for the 5th time in this game. He's gone 0 for 4 so far. A ground out, a fly out, and 2 strikeouts. Dylan G went the first 6. Elmer descends, Pedro Feliciano, and Isanori Takahashi, each with a hitless inning of relief. And now McCutchen leads off in the 10th. And takes a strike on the outside, 0-1.
A lot of times your leadoff hitter, the only time he leads off is to begin the game, but 5 times from McCutchen.
We'll say Tabata on deck, and then Neil Walker, who gets another chance to extend his hitting streak, which began the night at 18 games. And McCutchen watches the fastball wide, 2-1. One thing about an extra inning game that might go a long way tonight compared to that 20-inning game in April, as McCutchen drives one toward the left field corner. Feliciano can't get there, and it lands and stays in play. McCutchen takes a turn at second, and he's got himself a leadoff double. So McCutchen, 5th time the charm. It's his 30th double of the year. And the Pirates are in business in the 10th.
Interesting. He got that a little off the end of the bat, but Feliciano could not track it down.
Oh, the Pirates here, they got a bunt, don't they?
Tabata, pretty good hitter at the plate. 1 for 4 on the night.
I don't care. You got a bunt.
Hitting .410 with runners in scoring position this season. Still?
Bunt.
Well, the Mets are looking for it with Ike in on the grass at first. And set to charge. And Tabata squaring, but laying off 1-0.
I'll tell you one thing. Ike Davis is being really aggressive from first base. If Tabata's going to advance a runner, he's got to get that ball down towards right.
He's got a very fast man at second and a tag play necessary at third.
Right. He's overrated. Just absolutely killed Dustin Keller.
Bunted. Fair ball. Tolley to third. Right with the tag. And McCutchen is out. Well, David had to find him, but he made the tag on McCutchen, and they cut down the lead runner.
Just a horrific bunt. You couldn't make a worse possible bunt. Killing worms right here with this bunt. Right in front of home plate.
See, the one thing as you get more experience as the base runner McCutchen, you don't have to go on that play. Read the bunt. And if the bunt is right in front of the plate, you can go back to second base, still being in scoring position.
Nice job by Wright there, keeping that tag where it should be.
Was like no one wants to win this ball game.
So now Neil Walker bats right-handed for the first time tonight. Walker 0 for 2 with a pair of walks. Started the night with an 18-game hitting streak. And as we mentioned earlier, he's hitting .300 from both sides of the plate.
Tabata does have 17 steals on the season.
And the fastball misses, ball one. Fouls back the changeup, and it's 1-1. Now looking on top of it, who's not getting much of a lead off first base, with Davis holding him on. One and one to Walker, and that fastball away. 2 balls and a strike. Walker looking down to his third base coach, Tony Beasley, to see if a hit and run play might be on here. Garrett Jones on deck.
Why not? Tabata doesn't seem to be getting a big lead, but can be aggressive. Takahashi is a guy that throws strikes. Start the runner and see if you can get something going.
Not going, and Walker takes the slider low and in, and it's 3-1. So Takahashi painting himself into a difficult spot. You got the left-hand hitter Garrett Jones on deck. Mets bullpen is quiet. Takahashi working his second inning in relief. It's a final at the Meadowlands. The Ravens beat the Jets 10-9. Here's a 3-1. Swing and a miss. He chased a pitch, and it's 3-2.
It's like a bad movie. And I've seen so many runs and misses.
Tabata at first, 3-2 the count. He's running, and it's popped up on the infield. Tabata will get back as Reyes makes the grab for the second out. Drops the ball, but they say that he had it, and it's an out. I'm not sure if he did it on purpose, but that's what they're calling.
No, that's not going to work.
I don't think he did that on purpose.
I think he did.
Yeah?
I think he did.
Okay.
Well, the question tonight is, which has been more futile? These two offenses or the Jets? Mark Sanchez tonight 10 for 21 for 74 yards.
But the Jets had 6 first downs.
Meanwhile, here come the Rockies. They were down 4-0 in that game. Actually, they were down 5-0. And now it's 5-4. Ball 1 to Garrett Jones. Tulowitzki has his 21st home run in that game. The Rockies trying to bounce back from 5 runs down to try to win their 11th straight game. Garrett Jones is 2 for 4 on the night, a single and a double. Flied out his last 2 at bats. 20 home runs on the year for the 2nd straight season. And Takahashi falls behind him 2-0. Well, while the Mets are in the 10th inning here scoreless, the Yankees are in St. Petersburg against the Rays scoreless in the 11th. The Elias Sports Bureau did some digging. They found it's the first time ever that the Mets and Yankees, other than when they've played each other, have both been scoreless with their opposition through 9 on the same day.
Wow.
Ever.
Wow.
John Lombarda from Elias providing us with that. Here's the 2-1, and Jones takes just off the plate. 3-1. Chan-Ho Park, who tied Hideo Nomo for the all-time wins lead among Asian-born pitchers with yesterday's victory, is up along with Evan Meek in the bullpen. 3-1 to Garrett Jones, and he takes a strike. 3-2. So how about that? The 49th year of Mets baseball. Mets and Yankees have played on the same day well over 7,500 times, and they've never been scoreless through 9 on the same day until today. 3-2, runner goes, and it's pulled down to first, and Ike Davis handles it. Very tired Garrett Jones. So after the leadoff double by McCutchen, the Pirates failed to score. Now it's the Mets' turn at the bottom of the 10th. To you by IOTV. Get the best in HD free with IOTV. By Rums of Puerto Rico, the rum capital of the world. By Parts Authority, the future of auto parts. By Hyundai, with quality that lets them offer America's best warranty, 10 years, 100,000 miles. By Subway, eat fresh. By Absolute Vodka, the ideal choice for cocktails perfected. Enjoy with absolute responsibility. And by Budweiser. Chan-Ho Park on to pitch the bottom of the 10th. Josh Tolle leads off for New York. Josh is 0 for 2 in a walk, and he takes ball 1 from Park.
We mentioned those 123 wins, now to go with 97 losses in his career. He's only been charged with 1 earned run in his last 12 innings pitched for the Pirates. Claimed off waivers for the Yankees, where he spent most of the summer.
Speaking of the Yankees, they just lost their 4th in a row. Reed Brignac homered in the bottom of the 11th inning, and the Rays beat the Yankees 1-0.
Oh boy.
And that moves the Rays into first place in the American League East, a half game in front of the Yankees. Brignac hit the home run off Sergio Mitre in the 11th. 2-0 to Tolle. And he bounces one. Neil Walker with the easy play. 1 out. So Tolle is down. And now we'll get Nick Evans as a pinch hitter. No. Let's see. Ruben Tejada is in that 7 hole. Is that correct?
Yes, it is.
Okay. So Tejada's in the 7 hole. The pitcher is hitting 8th. And Evans has come out on deck to hit for him. Tejada came in to play second base in the 9th inning after Luis Hernandez left for a pinch hitter, and he tries to drop down a bunt. 0-1. So Ruben up for the first time in the game, hitting at 188. Did not play at all in the series against the Phillies after filling in nicely at shortstop while Reyes was out of the lineup. Ruben is 9 for his last 30, so he's hitting .300 over his last 10 games. And he drives one to left field beyond the reach of Tabata, and that'll go 1 hop up against the wall. Tejada pulls into second base with a 1-out double. Well, Ruben getting a chance to get it turned it back for the first time in 4 days, and comes through.
Got a fastball up, inner half. That's the pitch he likes upstairs.
Ruben Tejada, safe at second. Safe and secure.
Take it away.
Life.
Garrett, I love the way you read that.
So you'll get another chance before the season's over. I know you messed it up the last
I've been working on it. Love is a word.
Another one. So now Nick Evans will try and get that winning run home from second base.
Well, ball up in the strike zone. There's ILTV pitch differential, just a hanger up in the middle of the plate. Nice job by Ruben getting on top of that high pitch. How about a base hit?
Sucker for a strike from Park. Don't forget that Jets postgame live will follow Lincoln Mercury postgame live. That's Mets postgame and then Jets postgame here on SNY. Feliciano and then Reyes, but Evans pulls one through the whole base hit. Here comes Tejada around third. Tabata's thrown to the plate, not in time, and the Mets win it. Nick Evans with a walk-off hit brings home Ruben Tejada with the game's only run, and the Mets win it in 10, 1-0.
Well, that's a couple of big hits for Nick Evans in the last week, popped by his teammates. And the Mets with some outstanding pitching today get the win.
Well, nicely done, Mr. Evans. Up for a second time with the Mets, coming off the bench, and that young man. So the bench come through, and the youngsters come through for this Met team.
The 19th shutout victory for the Mets this season as they outlast the Pirates. Nick Evans, who had a go-ahead hit in D.C. and on the last road trip, gets himself a walk-off hit tonight here at Citi Field. And the Mets take the opener of the 4-game series from the Pirates as Takahashi winds up the winning pitcher, and Chan-Ho Park is the loser. Dylan G, 6 solid innings in his second start, a 0.69 ERA through his first 2 starts in the big leagues. 8 scoreless from James McDonald, not enough. And the Mets back within 2 games of 500 of a 1-0 10-inning victory tonight over the Pirates. The Mets' 14th last at-bat victory this season. Game 2 of the series tomorrow night. R.A. Dickey goes for his 11th win. Zach Duke pitches for the Pirates. 6:30 the coverage tomorrow night right here on SNY. Mets win it 1-0 in 10. Nick Evans with the game-winning hit. Got a slider to hit and took advantage. And Ruben Tejada comes home with a winning run. Now for Keith Hernandez, Ron Darling, Kevin Burkhardt, and our entire SNY crew, I'm Gary Cohen at Citi Field. Time for Lincoln Mercury post-game live. Let's join Chris Carlin and Bobby Ojeda in the studio.